Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joyofbaking.com. Today we're going to make Financiers, a French tea cake or cookie that tastes of almonds and caramelized butter. So to start, preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 200 degrees Celsius. And what we're going to do is make brown butter. And brown butter is what gives the Financiers their really nice caramel flavor. So, and all brown butter is unsalted butter that has been cooked until its milk solids turn golden brown. So we need to start with a half a cup, that's 113 grams of unsalted butter, which I have cut into small pieces, and that way it'll melt faster. And you need to use a light colored saucepan, just a small saucepan, because you need to see the butter turning brown, so don't use a dark bottom. So just put your butter in there. And also have ready we need to strain the butter once we make it, so just take a strainer and put it over a bowl, and then line it with a piece of this cheesecloth, and you can just buy this in most grocery stores. So just put that and have that ready. So now we're going to put the butter over medium heat and just melt it. So our butter is starting to boil, and you can see that there's bubbles around the outside, and then there's lots of foam. So just let it boil. You'll hear a real sputtering sound. Adjust your heat up or down to get a nice boil. And swirl the pan gently every once in a while. We don't want our butter to burn, so that way it'll cook more evenly. And as you can see now, the foam is disappearing, and now we're just getting a lot of bubbles. So again, just swirl it every once in a while and just let it cook away. So what's happening now too is that the milk solids are dropping to the bottom of the saucepan, and then you're getting a clear liquid on top of that. Okay, I can just start to see the butter browning on the bottom, and the sputtering sound is getting less and less. As you can see, you can hardly hear it now. And then we're getting a little bit of foam on top, and I can see the butter on the milk solids on the bottom are starting to brown. So watch really carefully, because you just want them a golden brown. You don't want them to burn. And just swirl your pan so it cooks evenly. And I can really see it's turning brown now. There's hardly any noise. Watch it carefully. Okay, and that looks good. So just remove from the heat and just pour it through your strainer, like so. That way the cheesecloth will get any brown bits, because you don't want those. And as you can see, the bottom of the saucepan is quite brown. There's all kinds of bits. Don't scrape that off. Just leave that. So now, we're just going to let that drain and cool a little and clean up, and then we'll come back and make our Financier batter. So now, once your brown butter has cooled to room temperature, place 1/3 of a cup, that's 80 milliliters, into a measuring cup, because that's the amount we will need for our batter. And then you will have some left over. And what we're going to do is grease our molds with that. Now, you will need 12, you can use individual little tartlet pans like I'm using here, these boat-shaped ones, or you could use mini muffin tin. You will need about 12. My molds hold about 2 tablespoons of batter. Or you can even buy a Financier mold that has a rectangular shape, if that's what you want. And then just use a pastry brush and use the brown butter to just brush your molds. That way they'll come easily out of the pan, plus it adds a nice, even more caramel flavor to the Financiers. So, there you go. And then, so for our batter, we're going to make it by hand. So you need 2 bowls, one for the dry ingredients. So we're going to start with 1/4 cup, 30 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And then just 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And then 1/2 cup, 55 grams of ground almonds. Now you can buy ground almonds. It's called almond meal. Comes in bags, small bags. You can find usually in the baking aisle or in the health food section of most grocery stores or health food stores. Or what I have done is just take blanched almonds, either whole or shaved, and just put them in your food processor and process until finely ground. So you need 1/2 cup. And then for sugar, we need 3/4 cup. That's 90 grams of confectioner sugar. You may know that as powdered or icing sugar. And sift your sugar because powdered sugar tends to have a lot of lumps. And then I'm just going to take a wire whisk and whisk it all together. Simple enough. And then in a separate bowl, I have 3 large egg whites and have those at room temperature. And then I'm just going to whisk them to just break them up. So I just use a wire whisk. I mean, you could use a hand mixer, but you just want to break them up like this. It's not like we have to bring stiff peaks or anything. And then you'll also need 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract plus your 1/3 cup 80 milliliters of your brown butter. So what I do is just make like a well in the center of your dry ingredients, and then just pour all your wet ingredients in there. As you can see, once you make your brown butter, this is a snap to make. And then just, you can either with a rubber spatula, I'm just using the whisk. Let's whisk it all together. Now, these are really good warm from the oven. So if you didn't want to bake them all off now, you could cover and store your batter in the refrigerator for a couple days and then kind of bake them whenever you want them. So that's it. I mean, pretty simple. Now, to fill your molds, there's a couple ways you can do this. You could just use spoons, or if you had a ladle, and just scoop it in there. I find it much easier to use a pastry bag. I'm just using one of these disposable ones, and just, I haven't even used a tip. You could use a little plain tip if you wanted. Or you could just, if you didn't have a piping bag, you could just use like just a regular plastic bag, like in one of those Ziploc ones, and just cut off the end. And you want to fill your molds almost to the top, because this batter does not rise. So, see, just whoop, close my bag up right, okay. Okay, so there we are. So now what we want to do, so I have them right here, is about, we're going to top our Financiers with raspberries. And we don't want to put them on right now because then they'll tend to sink. So what we're going to do is just bake the cookies for about 4 minutes. What you're looking for is the outside of the Financier to be, the batter to be set, but the inside the center to still be a little soft. So I'm going to bake them 4 minutes. Okay, so as you can see, the outside of the Financier, the batter is set, but inside it's still soft. So now we're going to take our raspberries and just place. You can either do 1 or 2, whatever you like. If you didn't want to use raspberries, you could use blackberries, blueberries. You could even cut up strawberries, thin slices. Or if you don't want to, you don't have to top them with berries, and you could just bake these for about 10-12 minutes. So now what we're going to do is put them back in the oven for about between 5 and 7 minutes. So what you're looking for is the outside to be nice, the whole thing to be set, the outside edges to be golden brown, and when you touch them, be nice springy to the touch. So our Financiers are done. As you can see, golden brown around the edges, and when I touch it, it's nice springy to the touch. So I'm just going to let these cool for a few minutes because I do like to serve them warm, and then I'll show you how to get them out of the little molds. So now to remove the Financiers from their molds, you can use either a small sharp knife or a little offset or a little flat spatula, whichever one. I'm going to use a knife, and then I just get it down one end, and then it should just come right up because we did butter the molds. So there we have it, a Financier. As I said, these are really nice warm from the oven, but you can cover and store them for a few days. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyOfBaking.com.